Joining us now is Democratic Senator of New Mexico, Ben Ray Lujan. Senator, you know Alex Padilla. You spoke emotionally about what you saw yesterday immediately after it happened on the Senate floor. Can you tell us your reflections now, 24 hours later?
Ali, United States Senator Alex Padilla is a good person. And by the way, Alex Padilla is over 6 feet tall. He's represented California as Secretary of State on the City Council. And the building that he was in to get a briefing, he was allowed in, number one. And two, law enforcement was with him when he went in as well. It's an absolute lie that is coming from the Department of Homeland Security, from Secretary Noem, from the White House, and everyone else that is saying they did not know who he was. That's an absolute lie. And then, by the way, with Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, suggesting that action should be taken in the Senate, he needs to worry about cleaning up his own house. And when Mike Johnson's judgment is to leave Matt Gaetz and other people like him alone, it tells you where he is. But I'm not too worried about Mike Johnson. The American people are going to flip the House. Mike Johnson's not going to be Speaker for much longer, so I'm not going to worry about that. Let me just speak to the Senate and to decorum. What happened to Alex Padilla is an embarrassment to the United States. It should never be allowed. And when I went to the floor, my Senate Republican colleagues need to demand action, investigation, stand up to this president, say that that is not allowed. This is horrible. The lack of communication coming from my Republican colleagues. I'm not aware of anyone except for the courage of Lisa Murkowski, who has said something already. No one else has said a darn thing. It is not right. Not in the United States of America is the executive branch going to start throwing United States senators from the legislative branch of government, equal branches of government, on the ground to detain them and arrest them. This is ridiculous. Alex was there and he said, I'm going to ask a question. They know who he was. This is wrong at so many levels. The United States Senate should be more worried about the treatment of fellow colleagues than they were about the color of liquid or water that people get to drink on the Senate floor, the clothes that people wear. Stand up and say something.
What does it say, though, Senator, that they haven't? And where does it mean that this goes next?
I'm very worried about the United States Senate and colleagues where we work with each other. We're friends. We talk to each other, private conversations. There's not going to be one Republican senator that says what happened to Alex is wrong. I just hope they have the courage to speak up in public. That's where things need to be. This is a bad day for how the United States Senate will be able to work with one another. And like I said, my Republican Senate colleagues want to worry about more rules about how people dress on the floor, or if they can drink liquid milk or strawberry milk or some colored liquid, than they are about the treatment of folks. And by the way, these federal agents, these are the folks that are supposed to be help protecting elected leaders across America. These are the folks that are called in whenever there's a threat or things of that nature. Does this mean that all of my Senate Republican colleagues that have detail, that should go away? There needs to be a full investigation here. This is bad. This is precedent setting. And I certainly hope that the leadership of the Senate, my Republican leaders, my friends, that they just look within. Pray on it. That's what I told a couple of them last night. Pray on this and do the right thing. Speak up and say something. Your silence is damning right now.
I'm glad you bring up the security piece of this, because I wonder if it changes the way that you're thinking about your own security posture.
Look, Ali, I've been blessed. Thank God that I've not needed security detail. The Capitol Police officers, I've gotten to know them. You can ask them about this. I ask about families. We often joke about shoes and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Those are folks we get to work with every day, and they're good people. They're strong people. I trust them. Now, what happens when these federal agents come into the United States Capitol with all these cabinet secretaries, and if that's how they're going to start treating people in the United States Capitol? And what about everyday folks? What about regular people that are not elected or don't have some other force that might be able to support them? This is wrong. This is concerning for the American people. This is no way to be functioning and operating. But I just don't know how there's trust with any of these other folks that are federal agents right now with how these folks were allowed to operate. And by the way, they all had earpieces on. They were talking to each other. Where's that audio? That needs to be preserved and fully investigated as well.
Well, there are 47 senators who caucus with Democrats alongside you. Is there any plan to do something collectively to protest Senator Padilla's treatment? Are there conversations happening between Schumer and Thune to potentially do something in bipartisan fashion here, despite the fact that there has really been a partisan response, predictably so, from both sides?
I want to thank Senator Schumer yesterday, who was very quick with his responses and then went to the Senate floor. He was speaking right before I spoke on the Senate floor as well. My Democratic colleagues that were in Washington, D.C., not only did many of them go to the floor, but they also gathered on the front steps of the Capitol to bring attention to this. I spoke to floor staff yesterday and said something more needs to be done, whether it's resolution, asking for something, demanding something on the floor. I'm hoping that we hear from the leader of the United States Senate, the duly elected leader of the United States Senate, and Senator Thune, to say something on behalf of all senators. Let's make sure that we do something right. So I'm not certain what the next step is, but there are a lot of members that are speaking. And look, in the end, the kind of person that Senator Alex Padilla is, what he said after all of this nonsense, he said to, look, the folks across the country, please gather in a peaceful way. The kind of ways that Alex Padilla spoke to the American people after being treated that way just goes to show the character of this person, the character of this man. It's why people believe in him. It's why people across the aisle respect him. I just hope that everyone has the courage and the backbone to do what's right here and speak up and tell the President of the United States, Secretary Noem, who, by the way, should step down. This is ridiculous, and she continues to lie about this incident. This is wrong. The right thing needs to be done here. We need people to speak up, and we need to get through this together. What's happening right now is not allowed.
I think that when people look at this instance, it does feel like it could be some kind of a tipping point, especially because you already had tensions so high on the ground in L.A. because of the National Guard being mobilized there over the wishes of state officials. You then, of course, have this image that Eugene Robinson and I were just talking about. We've never seen a senator handled in that fashion. And I think for people watching, the question is this just it? Is this what American politics has become? Or is there a way to bring the temperature down? I mean, where do we go from here as a country?
Look, Ali, I believe the temperature must be brought down and can be brought down. With my Senate colleagues who are duly elected to represent constituents across the country, they need to all speak up and do the right thing here as well. For people gathering across America today, tomorrow, over the weekend, and into weeks coming, gather, let your voices be heard, do it in a peaceful way. Don't fall for the traps that President Trump and his administration are setting for you all. Speak up with that passion that you have inside. Do it in a peaceful way as we gather across the country. Don't fall for their nonsense. And to all of us across the country, as we speak to our better angels, we need to de-escalate this notion that we can't talk to each other, that we can't visit with each other, that we can find a way to disagree respectfully. That's okay. Look, as a person of faith, I'm a Catholic. We're reminded every day, do unto others as you have them do unto you. Treat people with respect and dignity. Let's also protect people's rights in America. We're a democracy. Let's protect this beautiful republic, the Constitution. How about we stand by that? I think there are immense opportunities that we have right now, and this weekend is going to show, as we get to Monday and we all return back to Washington, D.C. in the United States Senate, who's going to have the courage and the backbone to speak up and do the right thing here and help de-escalate all that's happening across the country. That's what Monday holds. I certainly hope that we don't have to wait until then to hear from more of my Republican colleagues in the United States Senate that are friends. If you need to pray on it, go to church, go to service on Sunday, on Saturday, whenever it is that you celebrate, pray on this, do the right thing. Let's stand together and let's push back against this.
Senator Ben Ray Lujan, thank you for coming on, sharing your passion. Have a good weekend. We'll be watching what unfolds, and we will see Monday as a new opportunity, as you say that it is. Thank you again for coming on.